Howdy folks, my name is Jake with EDC Leather, and today we're going to be showing you guys how to use our new wallet jig template. Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, so let's go through this real quick. Your first piece is going to be your wallet backer, okay? So this here is going to be the back piece of leather on your wallet. And if you note, all these templates have how many of these you need to cut on it. This is going to be the inside of your wallet interior. So whenever you have your cash pocket, you're going to have your backer on one side, and you're going to have your wallet interior on the other side. To go with the wallet interior, you have this here main interior panel jig, okay? Next up, we have our wallet interior half, and it's going to come with its own jig, okay? Now, we have our jig pieces here. One is marked first, one is marked second, and they will fit inside of this here jig and help you line up your T-pockets. The last two parts, you're going to have a T-pocket shape, and you're going to have a 9-pocket wallet interior, front interior pocket. Once again, all these pieces have how many of them you need to cut on them, and if they do not have how many you need to cut on them, that means you do not need to cut that piece out. It is part of your jigs. Okay, so let's get into this, shall we? So I'm going to set aside some of these templates here that we're not going to need immediately. The big ones that we're going to need is our interior halves, and these are the pieces that we're going to need for now. So for your pockets, for your interior half, T-pocket, and your front interior pocket, you're going to want a piece of leather that's around 2 to 3 ounce. We prefer the lower end of the spectrum, and this stuff here is actually, I split it a little bit light, so this is about 1 3/4 to 2. So that's going to be for all of these guys here. Next up, you're going to need a piece for your wallet interior panel, the main panel. And for this here, we use about a 4/5. This here is about a 5. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to get to marking up these patterns, okay? So we're going to take scratch all, or you can use pen, pencil. If you're using pen or pencil, I recommend marking it on the back side, but because I want to mark on the front side here, we're going to use a scratch all. Now when you're marking this out here, it is very important that you have good pressure on this template to your leather, because you do not want this template to slip. If this template slips, you're going to have a rough time getting an accurate shape. Okay, there's that panel marked out. We'll set this guy here to the side and pull out this guy here. So I have half of this prepped already and cut out, so we're only going to cut out half of this. So we're going to cut our cut numbers in 2. So we only need one of these guys here. And make sure to once again apply good amounts of pressure to your templates. You don't want them walking all over the place, but you don't want to push too hard with your scratch all on this lighter leather, because you don't want it to pull. And for this one here, we're actually using our own EDC Leather holster prep, which is it was just what was on the scrap shelf, so that's why I grabbed it. But it makes super looking wallets. Okay, one moment. Let me check which side of this wallet I have my pre-cut pieces for. Okay, so I have my pre-cut pieces cut for the left side of the wallet, so we're going to cut these here to the right side. And you can tell which side this goes to just based on which side is the higher side. So as you can see here, these jigs, they have this nice beautiful curve up here, your higher side, that's going to be which side of the wallet this is for. Okay? And that's something to make sure that you do when you're tracing and cutting these is don't just plop them all. Don't plop them all down one way and then cut 2 sets of a left pocket or 2 sets of a right pocket. Make sure that you do, you know, one of these guys here, one of your fronts, and then 2 of your T's, your T pockets, and then make sure to flip them over and do it again. So, example, engraving away from you so that you're reading all these letters kind of backwards. Okay, so the important thing about these T pockets, right? You see here we have a flat right here, we have a flat right here. These 2 flats, they need to be as perfect as you can get them. So whenever I am tracing this and cutting this, I'm really making sure that I'm getting in there with the scratch awl, I'm angling it well, keeping it right up against that template, because these need to have a very good relationship to each other, okay? There's one. Now I'm actually going to flip this one here over just because I think it's going to be a little bit better of a fit. But I did give myself a good amount of excess here so that we can... Now, we got to cut these guys out. So I'll probably fast forward this part and stop it if I have something important that I can think of to say. Oh, I will say, on these here flats and stuff, guys, if you have a ruler, it's really going to help you. Once again, make sure it does not slip. Because if this slips while you're cutting, this leather is so thin, it gives so little resistance that you are going to, you're going to just cut right along wherever it slips to, and then you'll have a, you know, massive gash or corner taken out of your pocket. That one's a hot tip from experience. And now also what I was saying about these flats here, that's also very important up here on this pocket here, on your front of your pockets. So just keep that in mind. Okay guys, we have everything cut out here. So, something I didn't mention before was you can do 2 things if you want to dye your products. You can take, you know, this this big piece that we had here and you can dye that, or you can dye your pieces now if you want colors, that is.
Hey guys, this is Jake. Real quick, I just wanted to say that if you can, at all possible, you want to dye your leather before you cut out your pockets. And the reason for that is because whenever you dye that leather, as the dye is drying, it's going to shrink that leather a little bit. And that is really not going to help us get these perfect, beautiful T pockets that we want. And also, if you're dyeing in a brown color or something like that, you can get a little bit of a halo around the edges of the pockets, or, you know, around the edges of your piece of leather. And it can make your colors a little weird. So if you want really nice, good colors, and you want really nice and tight T pockets, I'd just say go on ahead and dye your piece of leather before you cut out your pockets. That was all I wanted to say. I wanted to clarify that, and let's get back into the video.
So, from here, right, where we're going, is dye, finish, okay? So, once you have your dye and your finish on, then we can continue. Alrighty, so, next step is we're going to take our pockets, and we're going to take this guy too. And now we need to edge bevel these, because you're not going to be able to do it once they're sewed into the wallet. Real quick, before I go, let me do this real quick. We want the top of this here, only the top, both sides. We want, quit rolling. We want the tops, both sides of both your pockets. And then while we're here, we'll do you're going to want this little cut right here. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to get her done, and then I'll come right back to you guys. Alrighty, gang. We have all our little pockets done that need to be done on the edge of a piece of granite, except I did leave a tiny little, there we go, I left a tiny little string attached. Okay, so, now, just gonna catch this guy real quick while we're at it. And, you can use whatever you like to do these edges. And it, you know, we do clear wax. You can use Tokonol, you can use Sarah Hagel's Slick and Solution, which we carry, edc.com. Check that out. You can use whatever. But today, I'm going to use this unbranded stuff right here, just because I have it in a needle bottle, which is really nice for doing these small things. Alrighty, this is the next step. For the next step, we're going to need a couple things. This guy right here. This is your jig. We're going to put our little piece of leather inside this jig, okay? Now, we have our two pieces here. T-pocket first, T-pocket second. So, you're going to take this guy here, and you're going to look at it, and you're going to be like, okay, which side's the higher side? It definitely doesn't go in like that, so that's how you know which way it's supposed to be. And then, of course, you're going to have to flip your little jig piece to accommodate that. So, what I like to do here, okay, we like to use this stuff here. It's called basting tape, I believe, on Springfield Leather's website. That's where we get it from. And it's basically just a really small double-sided tape. And this is actually what they use for doing their wallet interiors. If you've ever bought a Springfield Leather wallet interior, this is what they do instead of gluing. But you can definitely glue if you want to, because you can get a much finer line, and it will give you better adhesion generally. But this stuff here is just perfect for our application. So I like to take this here, and we are going to put just a line of it down the jig like so. Here, I got to pull it closer to me so I can actually see what I'm doing. And then take your knife, reach in there without cutting through your backer, right? Just cut through this tape. And at this point here, I like to take off the jig. That way I can, you know, get in here and really press this guy down. Just try to get nice, good adhesion. Okay, now what you're going to do, take your knife, or scratch-alls actually work really good for this here. Peel up a corner like so. Reset everything in your jig. Take this here. Okay, now we're going to lay in our first T-pocket. So, as you notice, this here will align this part for you. So, you're just going to lay it in. And make it sit in there. And then you're going to press down on your tape. Get that tape and that pocket to really stick together right there. Okay. One moment. I need to go get another tool that I forgot. Okay, gang. So, we're going to take this guy here, and we're going to, this is just wing dividers, plain old wing dividers. So, 3/16 is our preference on our wing divider size. All you're going to do now, come in here, drop a tiny little mark just to kind of mark where you're going to be starting. mark an end point before you get there, end on your point. So, I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera or not. That's the line that we're going to stitch on. You can do this on the machine, you can do it by hand. Because this isn't a whole bunch of stitches, I'm just going to do it by hand, because I think it's fun. Okay, boys and girls, we're back. I have this here sewed in. Now, we're going to make sure our jig is flipped the right way. We're going to lay this guy here in. Now you're going to take this guy here, which is labeled T-Pocket Jig Second. Okay, you want to make sure that he's flipped the right way. And we're going to just do the same thing once again, but this time we're doing it with T-Pocket Jig Second. Okay, so I'm going to take and find the end on our big roll of tape. And we're going to lay it on in there, get it cut, wherever my knife went. Okay, we're going to make sure that she's stuck down real good. Then we're going to peel the tape. Go. Okay, second T-pocket and our second T-pocket jig. Okay, everything's all laid in, everything's aligned nicely. Okay, and now what you're going to do, you want the top of this pocket to align perfectly with the bottom of your first pocket you laid in. So you do not want to be able to see a gap in between those. So, very carefully lay this guy in, make sure that our ends are good here. Okay, I have no gap over here. And I have, if I pull this side here up a smidge before I really stick it down. Here, I gotta bring this closer to me so that I can see it better. Sorry guys. If I bring it up and into here, and then stick. There we go, now we're good. Now we have no gaps. That's what you want, guys. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing once again. We're going to take and lay in the stitch line, get this guy stitched up, and then I'll be right back with you guys. So I will see you in just a second whenever this pocket is now stitched onto this piece. Okay, boys and girls. We have this section here sewed on now. We're getting into the home stretch here, folks. So, we're going to lay this guy back into our jig once again, but we're not actually going to be using either of our jig pieces. We're done with those. So what we're going to be doing this time here is we're going to be laying tape from, let me take this out of jig so that you guys can hopefully see it better. We're going to be laying tape from here down and then across, okay? And this here actually is, like whenever you get to this part here, when you have to lay it around these sides, it is a little bit easier to do whenever it is outside of your big jig piece. So, another thing is that, oh, that's my fault. I'll have to fill that in with wax, I guess. Accidentally trimmed a little shaving off the corner of the jig. No, the jig of the wallet there. And if you ever have to peel anything up off of this tape, guys, like, whenever you stick this to something and then you have to peel it back up, if it was stuck down good, you're a little bit screwed. Like, you'll kind of have to just peel it up and, you know, put a new piece of tape down, because it won't stick nearly as much as it would otherwise. You can also, if you want to, you can run up underneath these pockets and position them correctly and then tape them down as well. I don't, but preference, you know, everybody likes to do things a little bit differently, so just do however makes you happy. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to peel up all this tape, and I'm going to, I noticed we have a little like tail of tape right there. Just trim that guy there off. So we're going to peel up all our tape. Not peel it up, we're just going to peel the little, you know, the plastic backer for the tape off. Ow. Stuck myself to the tape there for a second. Okay, now jig time. We take our jig, and this here is not a perfect science. It's, you just have to take it and you know, just try your best to lay it into that jig as good as you can. Once again, what you're going to look for, you do not want, here, let me move this back in frame, hey. You do not want a gap between the top of this pocket. You don't want a gap between here and here. You want these here to be even. So I'm going to pull this closer to myself real quick so that I can just make sure that I get this guy stuck down right. Okay, and there we go. So now, you see, if we take this guy here and we, you know, position all of our pockets correctly and properly, we will have no gaps in between all these guys here. So, the next step, okay, next step is we're going to flip this guy over, and because there's a pocket that's going to be behind here, we're going to take and we're going to trim off only the inside 2 tabs, okay? So all we're going to do, we're going to take our knife, we're going to hold everything down, and just trim it flat to the edge of that there. Now what that's going to do, that's going to minimize the sanding you have to do here. I'm still going to sand because, you know, just I got to make sure that like here I have a little bit of, you know, mess up. So we're going to sand just a little bit here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to mark stitch lines and stitch it, okay? Alrighty gang, we're back. The only thing we need to do now that we've sanded, is we're going to take our edge beveler once again, and we're going to run it on both sides, front and back, of this inside side. Once again, your inside side is the side that the pockets are lower on, if you needed any help with that. So, just run this guy along. And all we're doing here, like the reason why we're doing it now, is because after you sand, you're generally going to have a little bit of a lip, like you can see we're kind of getting into one now. And this here will just take that off and make it all nice and everything. And then also, because this is going to be a pocket, of course we're going to want to bevel these edges. Okay. Goodness, maybe if I can flip this thing. Okay, so next up, we're going to take and we're going to mark our stitch lines. Okay? One thing that I'm going to recommend is to just give yourself a little kind of mark of where your other stitch line here in this corner is going to come to. So as you can see there, mark, good. And now we're just going to come up and we're going to be really careful going over the transitions of these pockets, because we need these stitch lines to be perfect, okay? And once again, put my little mark there. Just like so, and now I have a stitch line that I can follow and stitch up this right here, and it's kind of an aesthetic stitch, but I would recommend doing it. So we're going to stitch that guy up, and movie magic, watch, yeah! Okay, this is actually like the opposite side of the wallet, so this would be your left side of your wallet instead of your right side, but I've stitched this here up. All you're going to do now is take and edge this here. So I can't actually remember if I took a beveler to this beforehand or not, so we're going to run one over it real quick. Looks like I did not. Now, okay, and run this over the back side. Okay, and now we're just going to do the same thing once again. Just drop an edge on this, guys. Whatever solution you prefer. We like Sarah Hagel Slicken solution. However, for doing these wallets and stuff, I have this unnamed brand Slicken solution. And I just have it in this little needle bottle. So that's why I'm using it, just because it's in a needle bottle, and I don't have any Hagel stuff in a needle bottle, or else I would be using that right now, because I think it does a better job. Okay, next up, here's my interior, right? Don't mind this here, it was late at night, and I was tired, and I made the wallet, but I made it bad. So, what we're going to do, okay, this is our interior. So, we're going to take this guy here. What we're going to do is we're going to take tape once again, and we're going to tape from this point here. So if we were to lay this on, right, you can see we're going to need to tape from this point here to this point here. One thing that you can do, I don't think that you really need to mark down here, but if you want to, you can come and kind of like mark just a little bit inside. That way you can just have a reference line for where you need to get your tape up to. So all we're going to do, take this guy here, tape this up. And also let the other side of this little demo interior remind you that once again, those three sides, those three flats, or well, I guess there's more than three, but three flats, this flat here, this flat here, this one here, here, and then here. These here are all very crucial to getting a really, really nice T-pocket. You have to follow the pattern there really closely, okay? Because if you don't, you'll end up with something like this, and that kind of looks like garbage, right? Like, it does not look good. So you just want to make sure that you do your cutting really carefully. You want to make sure that you do your taping and where you're sticking your pockets and how you're aligning your T-pockets, all that stuff. You just have to be super conscious of when you're doing this. We're going to take this here. This is your main interior panel jig. Okay, boys and girls, the SD card issue is over. Put my little SD card holder over here. Okay, so we have our main interior panel inside of our jig. Okay. We're going to use these two wings that we left on here to help us align this. Okay? So we're just going to stick those guys in there. Hold this down. And now you can kind of, once you have everything positioned properly, you can, like I just messed up, once everything's in here positioned properly, you can put these tabs in and you can just kind of roll your pocket on out. like so. Except I kind of messed it up a little bit. Ideally, I would retape that, as I was saying before. And honestly, I think I might still. Yeah, I'll probably do that off camera. It's holding good enough that I'll be able to show you guys this next part here. So, once again, don't do this. This is bad. This is what happens whenever you, you don't line up your flats the right way. Do this guy here. This is good. This is clean. There's no gaps, okay? What we're going to do next, okay? We're going to mark stitch lines. The only stitch line that we're going to mark is going to be right here along this top edge, okay? So, we're going to come in here. We're going to just mark this stitch line, okay? Now, what we're going to do as well, since we're here, it is on. Once you have both sides on, you can take and, once again, just trim away. Trim away these little wings. Okay? So, what we're going to do now is we're going to knock holes in here to stitch. Then we're going to get stitched up. And then we're going to come right back and I will show you guys what we're doing here. And I'll actually, you know what? Let's do it on this side here too. Just so that I can have this thing finished and show it to you guys. Alrighty, I will be right back in a second whenever I'm done stitching this guy together. Okay, gang. I was about to start hand stitching this, and I murdered my stitching chisel. Rest in peace. I've had this guy for a while. I guess I hit it a little off, right up and down, and then it started bending out, and was increasing my stitch length until I noticed it. So, if the stitch length on this here goes a little bit crazy, that's my fault. That's a oopsie daisy from me. So, here is our wallet interior. This side here is kind of, you can take it as like an example of like a bad side. Okay, the leather is a little bit thicker. As you can see here, it's a little thick. Our gaps we have here, that's what you don't want, right? This is what happens kind of when you try to just freestyle putting on these T-pockets a lot of times. You'll get stuff just like this, like all these gaps. It's not perfect, it doesn't look great. Whereas this side over here is our jig side. As you can see, no gaps, nice and clean. Thinner, because we use thinner leather, and because we got those gaps nice and clean. And then of course it's all stitched up and everything. So a few things of note. When I was sewing this, I messed up my stitching chisel. So if you see, I started over here, punch, 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 and then it was in here somewhere. I must have hit my chisel just a little bit off, like not perfectly right up and down, and it started bending out one of the teeth of the chisel just a little bit, and then I noticed it by here, and then I switched to another chisel, but it was the only other chisel I had, and I think it had a little bit shorter stitch length. So that is something to note, that, that's entirely my screw up. It is what it is. It was, something that I just noticed as I was getting close to this end. I was like, man, that's bigger than over here or down in here, because I used the same chisel on these. So that is all there is to it. We now have a interior. The only thing left to do would be, of course, now you'd want to slick down your top here. You'd want to come in and sand these sides here, this side here, this side here. Once that is sanded, you are done with your interior, pretty much. This is about what you're going to get like a Springfield leather interior from looking like, or something like that, for example. The only thing that you're going to need now is take out this piece here. This is your backer piece, okay? What you'll notice, your backer piece is just a touch taller, and it's about, give or take, ½ inch, a little bit more longer than your interior. So the reason why that's longer is because what you're going to do is you're going to come in here, and you can use any leather you want for this backer. You can use almost, quote, anything you want for that backer, okay? So go crazy with that. But what you're going to do is you're going to tape in your, pick which side you're going to start on. So for example, if I want to start on the right side, I'm going to tape in my right side and the bottom of this here. I'm going to sew here to here. Okay? And now you can do like if you start here, you can go here, here. You can go up on your back, or you can do kind of like an aesthetic like sewing up in here. And then what's going to happen is, because that piece there is longer, I don't think I can show it with this piece here. I mean, I can kind of show it. So you see here, if I create physically like a ½ inch offset, you'll see that if this side here, my right side, is already locked down, and then I go to match this side here up, you'll see that we get kind of a pucker. And I'm not holding everything down perfectly, but that's what will happen. Bifold, man. If you have ever put together a bifold with a Springfield leather or wherever else sells the interior, it is basically all there is left to doing this. You're just putting a backer on, and it's super simple from here. So make sure to pick up a wallet jig, make good, nice T-pockets like this side and not like this side here, and make some beautiful wallets, guys. And I hope this will help some people out, and I hope it'll speed up some people's processes, and make you maybe a little bit faster, a little more accurate, a little more profitable on these kind of wallets. So thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment on the video if you can. Everything helps. And these wallet jigs are going to be in the description, links on the website. Go pick one up if you like what you saw. So thank you very much, guys. I hope you all have a great day, and I will talk to you again later.